Hey everyone, my name is Naringa and you might know me as ByBloomAndMoon on social media. And welcome to my part 1 of crocheting temperature blanket for 2026. This is my first ever blanket. I never did one before, so I'm super excited about this year-long project. And I'm seeing all the hype on the internet. Everyone's temperature blankets look so beautiful. So I just decided to do one on my own and record all my progress. Because I'm just starting my blanket, I want to discuss every step I'm doing from beginning. So today we're gonna talk about the colors I chose for each range of temperature. I ended up with more colors than I wanted. Instead of a 9 plus 1 to separate the month, I'm using now 11 plus 1 to separate the month. It's just because at the beginning of January, I traveled to Lithuania, to my home country, where the weather in January can be super cold. The temperature can reach minus 25 degrees Celsius and below. Because I live in England and I travel once or twice a year to Lithuania, I needed to adjust my temperature ranges. I thought it will be a good idea. And to avoid using just one color for the 2 weeks I spent there, I added 2 extra temperature ranges. First for minus 11 and below Celsius, and another one for minus 10 to 0 Celsius. I also adjusted the other ranges slightly to suit the weather in England, and I also added plus 30 and above, since I'm planning to travel to Lithuania again in the summer when temperature can reach 30 degrees and plus Celsius. For the blanket itself, I'm using Aran weight yarn. In the UK terms, in the US terms, I think it's worsted weight, Templey in Australia, and according to Yarncraft Council is a 4 medium weight yarn. Talking about the fibers, I'm using mix of wool and acrylic. So these are acrylic yarns and this is mixed of wool and acrylic, and I also have just the wool yarn itself. As you can see, I went for a lot of different yarn brands. It's just because I couldn't find all the colors I wanted for my blanket just from one brand. I'm still not sure it's the best idea, but decision is already made, and I notice some brands are slightly lighter in weight than the others, even though the label all says exactly the same thing. So if you're not that fussy as me, I recommend choosing all the colors from one brand. My blanket will be 2 meters wide, and I'm not really sure about the length, but it should be around 2 meters and 30 centimeters. But let's see what I end up with at the end of this year. At the beginning, I wasn't sure which stitch I want to use, so I made 2 samples, one with a moss stitch and another with just a single crochet. Since some of my yarn choices are pretty similar in shades and there isn't much contrast in my yarn choices, I thought that moss stitch will blend the colors too much, while the single crochet makes them stand out a little bit more. But at the moment, I'm not so sure, so let me show you this in better light, and you can leave a comment which stitch you think is better for temperature blanket. And this is my 2 samples for the blanket. This is a simple single crochet and this is the moss stitch. I'm not sure which one I like it more, but I might go for a single crochet. So now that I've discussed all my plans for my crochet temperature blanket of 2026, I will show you all the colors I chose for each temperature range, and then I will explain the beginning of the blanket. For the coldest temperature, which is minus 11 degrees Celsius and below, I'm using this blue shade from Yarnsmith Create Aran, and the shade is Denim Blue. For the temperature between minus 10 and 0, I'm using this forest green shade. I'm not sure how else to call it because it has just numbers for the color. And I brought this yarn from Lithuania, so I'm not sure where to get elsewhere. If you know, please leave me a comment because I really like the feel of the yarn. And it's 75% acrylic and 25% wool. For the temperature between 1 and 3 Celsius degrees, I'm using this country green shade. It's the same yarn as the first one from Yarnsmith Great. For the temperature between 4 and 6 Celsius degrees, I'm using this olive shade, and I love this shade so much. It's from Deluxe Signet. I hope I'm saying right, but look at this. It's pretty similar to previous one, but it has slight difference. For the temperature between 7 and 9 Celsius degrees, I'm using this Meadow shade. It's from Stylecraft's Special. For the temperature between 10 and 12 Celsius degrees, I'm using Vanilla Fudge shade from Yarnsmith's Great, the same as a few previous ones. For the temperature between 13 and 16 Celsius degrees, I'm using Brown Bear shade, and this is from the same Yarnsmith's Great, but I'm not sure why this yarn feels a little bit different from the others from the same brand, but I want to have the same shade in my blanket. I might change the yarn, but let's see. For the temperature between 17 and 20 Celsius degrees, I'm using this rust color, and this color is one of my all-time favorite colors. It's kind of brownish, oranges, I'm not sure how to describe, but it's the same from Yarnsmith Great range. For the temperature between 21 and 25 Celsius degrees, I'm using this ginger shade. It's the same from Yarnsmith Great. And I love this color when the fall season or autumn season comes, however you want to call it, but it's just gorgeous. For the temperature between 26 and 30 Celsius degrees, I'm using this color. I don't know how to say it, so I'm not gonna say it. You can read it from the yarn label. Mahogany, maybe, something like that. And this is from Highfield Bonus Iron Extra Value. This yarn actually was a substitute for another one. I had 100% wool in very similar shade, maybe a tiny bit darker, but now I decided I want to use that shade for the gloves, so I just go for this one for my blanket. And for the temperature above 30 degrees, I'm using this chocolate brown shade. Actually, it was a substitute for Yarnsmith Great. I think the color called chocolate brown. I'm not sure how this color called, but it's very similar shade. I brought this yarn from Lithuania, and it's mix of wool and acrylic. And of course, for separating the mums, I'm using this yarn. It's the same from Yarnsmith Great. It's been a few days since I recorded anything for this, but I'm super excited to show you my very first month of the blanket. I think the colors look super cool. I'm really happy about it. I also included 2 rows of single crochet in this light color just to separate the months. The whole blanket turned out 2 meters and 10 centimeters in white. This is just how I wanted, and also I did 310 single crochet across, which is gives me more than 7,000 stitches now just for January. But yeah, I'm super happy, and I can't wait to incorporate all those green and orange shades. I think it will look super cool when the weather is warmer. Also, I will show you how I started my blanket on a little sample, so if you want to make your own, you can do that. I will explain all that little process. It's super easy. And also after that, I will do a moss stitch tutorial just in case you want to use a moss stitch for your blanket. Just to mention, I'm doing my moss stitch a tiny bit different, just the first and the last stitches. I found this way it's much easier for me to change the color, but you can do any other way if you want. So let's get going to all the little process how to start the blanket. At the beginning, if you want to start your blanket, you need to decide the temperature ranges and the colors you will use for that temperature range. You need to make this little note for yourself, so you will see what color to use. I did on separate piece of paper, included the colors because I want to keep this for the future. And you can see I recorded all the temperature for January and I started for February, but I was a little bit behind, so I did my blanket in one sitting. But yeah, as long as you have all these temperature ranges decided with the colors, you starting recording and crochet according this temperature and color you chose. So on 1st January I had 3 degrees Celsius in country green color. Because I had 3 degrees, I looked into my chart, I'm doing country green color. So at first my foundation chain will be in this country green color. So you chain any number you want for your blanket. It doesn't matter even or odd number, it's just a single crochet. You also can do single crochet foundation chain, but with my tension I prefer just to chain and then crochet into the back loops only. It's just because when I do single crochet foundation chain, my tension is too loose for the rest of the blanket, and I just prefer this way. So I had my chain in the first color for the first day. I skipped the first back bump and started crochet into the second. So if you flip your chain like this, you will see those little bumps on the other side. And I just do single crochet across in every back bump and just like that. So let me do that and I'll meet you at the very end for the day 2. Now I'm at the very last stitch. I need to change color. So I'm looking into day 2 and I have 4 degrees. And 4 to 6 degrees Celsius, I have olive color. So I will grab that olive color and change the color to that. To change color, you need to start crochet the last single crochet stitch. Just like that, and then change color at the very end through those last 2 loops of the stitch. You just grab the new color yarn and pull the yarn through those 2 loops. You tighten up the previous color and you can cut that previous color. And now you will crochet the second row in this new color for your temperature range. So you chain 1, turn your work, and you crochet into very first. So your stitch count is always stays the same throughout all the blanket, and you just do that. I also recommend using a stitch marker into very first single crochet, so you will get a nice edge and you won't miss any stitch. So just do single crochet across in that another color, and at the end we're gonna look again into the temperature chart, into my recorded temperature, and we're going to change color according to that. Now I finished my day 2 and I need to do just the last single crochet stitch, but I looked into my chart. Day 3 is 3 Celsius degrees. 3 Celsius degrees, it means I need to do with the country green color before I did with the olive. So now I need to change color to country green. And I see I have 3 days in country green color, so I will do 3 rows in this color. So I grab the new color and I need to do the last single crochet stitch until I have those 2 last loops. And now I grab the new yarn and pull through those 2 last loops. Chain 1, cut the previous color, turn, and 3 rows of single crochet into every single stitch, and then we change color again according to our temperature. Now I finished 3 rows of country green color for the day 3, 4, and 5. And now for the day 6, I need to change color back to the olive because 5 Celsius degrees goes into this temperature range. And you do again for the day 7th, you need to change to another color. you record the temperature 7 degrees Celsius or different, and it falls into this range, so I need to change color into the middle. And this is how you do your single crochet for temperature blanket. And for the moss stitch, you need to follow exactly the same technique, but it's just the pattern a tiny bit different. I will show you in more contrasting colors so you can see how the pattern goes together. But if you had your first day in example forest green, you need to do your foundation chain in forest green color, and then you need to do first row in exactly the same color. And from the row 2, you can change your colors according to day 2, 3, 4, and etc. And to start the moss stitch, you need to make a slip knot and chain an odd number for your foundation chain. I did 13 stitches, and now you can crochet into the chain, but I prefer crochet into the back bumps as well. So I need to skip one back bump and make one single crochet into the next. And I will insert the stitch marker into that first single crochet, so I will see where my first and last is. Also, I really recommend using stitch markers. It really helps to track your stitches. And now you need to chain one, skip one back bump, and make one single crochet into the next. Chain one, skip the next back bump, and make one single crochet into the next. Chain one, skip the back bump, and one single crochet into the next. And you just repeat until the end. And at the end you have just one back bump left, so you need to make one single crochet into that last back bump without any chain one in between. And also you might need to change the color, or it depends on your temperature, but if you need to change color, you do that exactly the same at the last single crochet stitch. So you left a longer yarn tail, you cut that old color yarn, and you need to join the next. You tighten up the previous color, and now you need to chain one, turn your work, and you will be making one single crochet into that very first single crochet where your chain one coming from. Like this, insert your stitch marker into that stitch, and the next you have single crochet, you need to chain one, skip that single crochet stitch, and make one single crochet into that chain one space. And you just repeat chain one, skip the single crochet stitch, make one single crochet into chain one space, and again chain one, skip single crochet, and single crochet into that chain one space, and you just do that until the end. And at the end you have just one single crochet stitch left, so you need to do one single crochet into that last stitch. You did one into the gap, and now one into the last stitch without any chain one in between. So example, I had the same color as before for my day 3, so let's do one more row with the same color. You just chain one, turn your work, one single crochet into the very first stitch, put the stitch marker back. Now you have single crochet next, so you need to chain one, skip that single crochet stitch, and make one single crochet into chain one space, chain one, skip single crochet and work into the chain one space, and you just repeat that until the end. And here we have exactly the same. We do one single crochet into chain one space, and then we have just a single crochet stitch left. We remove stitch marker and make just one single crochet into that last stitch without any chain one in between. So now I will need to change color. I also made again single crochet, but I will do again, and we need to change color at the last two loops of the single crochet. I change now into example this one, tighten up the previous color yarn, chain one, turn my work, and it's exactly the same. One single crochet into very first space, stitch marker, we have single crochet here, so we chain one, we skip that single crochet, and we do one single crochet into chain one space, and chain one, skip single crochet, and work one single crochet into that chain one space. So you just repeat this until the end. And now again you have just single crochet left to do, so it's going to be single crochet without any chain one in between those two last single crochets. And you just repeat like this from the row 2. If you want to continue, if you want to check again. And this is how you do moss stitch. You just always work 2 single crochets at the very end of the row, and you do one in the first, then skip, and you start repeating the pattern. And always use the stitch marker for this because it really helps, as I mentioned before. And also let me know if you have any questions in the comments about this moss stitch technique. I always can try to explain, but yeah, keep in mind that the last 2 single crochet stitches of the row will be just 2 single crochet without any chain one space in between. Also, I forgot to mention how to finish your last day of the moss stitch, but you can leave it as it is, or you can do one single crochet into every single crochet and chain one space, so you have this little thicker border as the first day. But yeah, if you have any questions, you can leave me a comment or you can message me on Instagram. I'm always happy to answer or help in any way I can. And also, I hope you like this video, and if you like, give me a little thumbs up there, and I will meet you in the next video of mine.